scripture, Genesis 1 verse 1, up here, very small, and I will be writing it for all of us there. Genesis 1 verse 1, Bereshit bara Elohim et hashamayim ve'et haaretz. I'll be writing it for us, and we will then start to translate it. So the first word we have in the Bible, this is the first word in the whole Bible, is the word Bereshit. And the punctuations in here are, oh, sorry, the Hebrew dots in here are just like we've learned. So if you can read or the Hebrew that we've started with, you will be able to read this. And your pronunciation will be beautiful. This is the first word in the Bible. I hope you are motivated by this to read the rest of the Bible as well. So this is Bereshit. Bereshit. Bereshit is actually more than one word. So if I can, if you give me a moment and I can show you, up here we have Bereshit, bara Elohim et hashamayim ve'et haaretz. So if you'll be counting, you will see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 words. In English, the first verse in the Bible is 10 words. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth, right? If you're Afrikaans, I think it's 9 words. But in Hebrew, it is only 7 words. So now you have to start to realize that something is up with the Hebrew language. And I want to show you what is up with the Hebrew language. So, Bereshit. Bereshit is actually the first 3 words in the English. In the beginning. But linguistically, this word is actually written just in beginning. If you know Hebrew, you would know that this is actually just in beginning, not in the beginning necessarily. Like in a beginning, it's almost strange. But if you really go into it, you will see that there are actually a few definitions to this word Bereshit. And there are people who do their life's work on the first 2 verses of Genesis, because it is such an amazing thing to go dive into and try to understand what is this, how did all of this start. I remember giving a week-long lecture in Germany. This was in 2009. A week-long lecture on the first chapter of Genesis. A whole week we spoke about the Hebrew words and how things go into each other and how everything combines. So I have quite a big task to try to do all this in 20 minutes. But it's not the whole chapter, it's only the first verse, so don't worry. So rabbis study this verse for years, and I've had the funniest questions asked. For instance, why does the Bible start with a bet? Why not with the first letter of the alphabet, which is Aleph? So you think this is silly, but these are questions that people actually ask when they start to read the Bible, and they say, why? And they ask all these questions, why? For instance, if you are reading this word now, the word Bereshit, you will see Be, E, R, E, Aleph, Shin, E, T. And we know this vowel, right? We know the Yod and the E together. If you know a little bit of, and you listen to what I was saying, you would see that there's a bit of a problem with the word Bereshit. This Aleph is completely useless in there. It's not necessary. If you have the Aleph in there or not, it would be Bereshit. Bereshit. You pronounce it the same. So there are people who even go into further and say, why is this Aleph in there? And studying this first word, I can keep you guys busy for hours, really, and this is not exaggerating. Because of the studies I've done with some rabbis, they go into such depth of the words that they study each letter and the meaning of the letter and the numeric value of the letter, and it goes on for hours, and I love it. I enjoy it so much, but I know we don't have hours necessarily. So Bereshit is then what we translate as in the beginning. But the is assumed. So where is in? Where is the Hebrew word in? Right here. The first letter of Bereshit actually means in. Actually means so you see it's squashed together. In English we say in the beginning. In Hebrew, in beginning. And so it is a bit of a challenge and changed here. So I didn't answer why this Aleph is in there, because there are many people asking why. But if you look at Be, then you know it's in, and you know this word, you see Rosh in there. Who of you have heard the word Rosh Hashanah? Rosh Hashanah, the head. Bereshit, in the head, in the beginning, in the first thing, firstly. So some people even translate this and say that this word does not just mean beginning, but it means firstly. And it's almost like God's making a statement through this, saying, firstly, I created the heavens and the earth. Not in the beginning, or everybody knows that it was in the beginning. It had to be in the beginning, because before it was created, there was nothing. So, firstly, I created the heavens and the earth. So I'm not saying that this is how you should start reading your Bible and start changing your words in the Bible, but it actually makes a lot of sense that when you're picking up a Bible, the first verse you read is, you guys, when you read this, you should know that I am the creator. First things first, I am the creator of the heavens and the earth. So you should know this. Bereshit. And that makes sense. It's kind of interesting. And so we have this way of thinking in the Western world where we say, so which is it? Does this word then mean firstly, or does this word mean beginning? We need to know. And it's so funny. The Jewish people say that the Bible is a book full of questions, and the more questions we ask, the closer we get to God, but we don't get so many answers. And so when we study this and we go into this word and we say, firstly God created the heavens and the earth, or in the beginning God created the heavens and the earth. It's acceptable. Both are okay. So don't try and break your head if it means firstly or in the beginning. Both can be true. Both are true. So let's just accept it and go on. And this is difficult for us because we like to have one option, one thing. That's what I believe in. I have my one church. I have my one place I go. They say when a Jew would get stranded on an island, he would build two synagogues to say that I go to this one, I don't go to that one. But that's just a Jewish joke. So the Jewish people, they actually accept the fact that some words have more than one meaning, and we can see it and view it in more than one way. Okay, let's go to the next word. I have some time to work with. So Bereshit is in the beginning, or firstly, God created the heavens and the earth. Second word is a bit of a shorter word. I'm so tempted to just read it, and I realize that I need to give you guys the opportunity to read it yourselves, because this is what we are here for. We are here to practice reading. We're here to practice learning, or to continue learning. The reason I say practice learning is because I really want to start slowly with the classes, that we can get those memory muscles going again, and then we will all go onto the same place in the future, where we all are ready to learn Hebrew. Okay, so the second word is the word b, a, r, a, and the aleph at the end, which is silent. And this is the word bara, bara. And this simply translated is he created. So as you will be learning Hebrew, you will see that this word bara is written in the root form of the Hebrew word create. And so the word he, in this case, is assumed. It's just the word created, but it's written in third person singular. Therefore, we know it is he created. I'm sorry if I'm using terms like third person singular. It's just simpler to say it that way. So bara, bara, bara. So bereshit bara, bereshit bara. In the beginning, he created. So in Hebrew, things are sometimes other way around than we have it in English. Some of you might now realize that the first three letters of the Bible are the same as the second word in the Bible. If you look, Bet, Resh, Aleph, Bet, Resh, Aleph. And that's just a whole new can of worms that we can open up about this word, Bereshit. So in the beginning, he created. Who is this he? And that is what we are about to see. Who is this he that created? In the Hebrew, it uses the word I'm going to assume that you guys have written Bereshit. So I will scroll up a little bit. So Bereshit bara. And here, this word is the Hebrew for God. This is also the word in Exodus 20, where God says, "You shall have no other gods before me." And I am not teaching this evening that multiple gods created the heavens and the earth. Please understand me correctly. But at this stage, when Genesis 1 verse 1 is written, there is no man yet. And so there's only one true God. If any of you have a bit of Hebrew background, or you know a little bit of Hebrew words, you will know that when you make a Hebrew word plural, you add im to the end. For instance, word we've done already is mayim. We learned that in the alphabet. Mayim means water. Mayim, and it's actually the Hebrew word for waters, mayim. So it's accepted that the word mayim is plural, because how do you have one water? That's when you're speaking about a bottle of water. So mayim is accepted as a plural word always. You can't have a single water. And so the im is what's added to the end of a word to make it plural. Mayim. And here we have the word. Oh, let me go back to my yellow color. Aleph, which is no sound. We have the e, we have the lamed, we have the o. This o is now one we haven't used a lot yet. Hey, maybe if you'd like, I can move it a little bit closer to the lamed, just to make sure that you see where it's positioned. And then we have the he, we have the e, and perhaps we should put the e on this side, because again, this is the yod and the e together. And then lastly, we have the mem sofit. So this is the word Elohim. Elohim. And I will write it for you like this, because some of you might know it already. Elohim. Elohim. So this is a very strange thing, because the name of God in Hebrew, and I'm not teaching you some kind of strange theology, please understand me correctly, I'm just teaching you Hebrew. The name of God in Hebrew is written in a plural, not the name of God, how God is called in Hebrew, in Genesis 1 verse 1, is a plural form. This im at the end is plural. You have Elohah, which is one, and Elohim, which is plural. And we see later in Genesis 1 verse 26, God says, let us make man in our image and in our likeness. And there's a lot of theological debate we can go into with this. Is this the Trinity, or is this God referring to himself in the royal we form? Is it some other idea that we don't know maybe? Or is it Yeshua and God together? So yeah, it's an interesting idea. Great, we have a question. Where is the Vav? You would want me to put a Vav in there, right? Right in there, you'd like a Vav. But no, it does not have a Vav, because This is from the vowels. We need to go back to our classes. This is from our vowels. Remember, we had a vowel O. We just haven't used it a lot. That is also a O. So we don't need this one. We can use this one. And Elohim in the Bible is written like this. And Elohim in modern Hebrew is written like this. Is written with this O. So Elohim has two different spellings depending on if you're reading it in biblical Hebrew or modern Hebrew, but it sounds the same. So remember this O. That's why we don't have this Vav in there. I hope that answers the question. Good. So Elohim, you see, we use the O without the Vav. If I put a box to give you perspective, the box would be around the Lamed. The O is over the ear. So Elohim. In modern Hebrew, we do write Elohim with a Vav in there, just to remind you guys that if some of you were asking why is there no Vav, because you've seen it with a Vav, that's fine. But in the Bible, it's written, or well, in this specific verse, it's written without the Vav. Good. Good catch for whoever saw that. I am impressed that you actually saw that. Now, Bereshit bara Elohim. Bereshit bara Elohim. So in the beginning, or firstly, he created. Who is this he? Elohim. Is this Elohim plural or not? Or is he speaking about himself in a we form? Is this Yeshua and God? What is this referring to? Simply at this stage, we don't know. We're reading the first verse in the Bible. So if you're exposed to the Bible at this time, it would be like, what's going on here? Who is this Elohim? Is he really plural or not? And as I said, this word is used im at the end exactly the way we see it here in Exodus 20, where it says, you shall have no other gods before me. So it's very interesting that the Bible is written in this way. And I'm simply showing this to you. Please don't think I'm teaching you of some kind of new theology that multiple gods created the heavens and the earth. I'm just teaching you how Hebrew works. I do not believe very strange things about this. I believe there's one God, he is one, and this is what Deuteronomy 6 verse 4 says. This is what Yeshua says. God is one. And if I give my closest guess, maybe this is in a plural form because it's referring to God and Yeshua. But I don't really like to separate God and Yeshua in that way, because it says in John 1 verse 1, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God, and through him all things were created. You know this. So maybe if you'd like me to give a little bit of my theology in here, I would say that. But I don't want to give too much theology. I want to teach Hebrew. At this stage, I love to speak about this, but at this stage, I'd like to stop there. Okay. So, Bereshit bara Elohim. And now we have a strange little word coming into the Hebrew language. And bear with me for another few minutes. We have a very small word in here, and this is the word Aleph Tav. That's it. That's the word in here, Aleph Tav. And if you would ask me to translate this word for you into English, I would say I can't. Aleph, Tav. And this word is actually not translated into the English language when we read the first verse in the Bible. It just says, Bereshit bara Elohim et hashamayim ve'et haaretz. And this is something you need to know about the Hebrew language. We use this word et before indirect or direct object. And so what this is actually saying is not in the beginning God created the heavens and the earth. He is saying God created this heaven and this earth. It's more proper, these heavens and this earth, perhaps. So the first verse in the Bible already gives us a bit more of an indication that the translations of the Bible, there are maybe a few mistakes made in them, because this is very specific, referring to the heaven and the earth. We only know about one heaven and one earth, or one heavens, which is speaking about the heavenlies, not heaven where God is, the spiritual realm. And so we assume when we read the Bible, it's speaking about that. Okay. So et is a very, very funny little letter, or a funny little word. You see it starts with an aleph and ends in a tav. So does the alphabet as well. If you guys haven't sent me your alphabet, please do so. Aleph, bet, gimel, dalet, he, vav, zayin, chet, tet, yod, kaf, lamed, mem, nun, samech, ayin, bet, tzadik, kof, resh, shin, tav. So it starts with an aleph and ends in a tav. So there are some people who say, and I love this idea, there are some people who say, in the beginning, God created the language. And with the language, he created the heavens. And you'll see that it is repeated again. And with the language, he created the earth. Because you see in Genesis 1, constantly, and God said, and God said, and God said. 10 times in Genesis 1, it says, and God said, and God said, and God said. So, which language was he speaking? Was he speaking Afrikaans? Was he speaking English? Our assumption is he was speaking Hebrew. And so I love this idea, because this is a bit of a nonsensical word in English. To translate it as, in the beginning, God created the Aleph Tav, and with the Aleph Tav, he created the heavens, and with the Aleph Tav, he created the earth. So some people translate it as language. Let's stick with a rule. This is before a direct or indirect object in Hebrew. But some people say this word et means language. Language. Aleph Tav also refers to the beginning and the end. Yeshua says, I'm the Alpha, the Omega, the Aleph and the Tav, the beginning and the end, right? Yeshua actually says he is the Aleph and the Tav. That's interesting, okay? So Aleph Tav refers to the beginning and the end, which is time. And Aleph Tav also refers to Yeshua, because he is the Aleph and the Tav, the beginning and the end. He is the Alpha and the Omega. So this little word is such a disputed word, and such an amazing word, actually. Aleph Tav Et. So, Bereshit bara Elohim et, language, time, Yeshua, something, and then we have to go on. Et ha, oh, I'm not going to say it. You have to read it. I almost made a mistake by reading this out loud. Et ha ha. Okay, we already know what this means. This is the heavens. I write it in plural because that's how it's written in Hebrew. I know in some translations this is translated as heaven, and some is translated as heavens. So Bereshit bara Elohim et ha. Let's decipher this word together. Et ha shamayim ha shamayim. I'm just going to scroll up a little bit. Et hashamayim. So I'm going to complete the verse. We have et hashamayim, ve'et, and then our last word for the verse. And you can write that down. Remember, you're going to receive all of this in the notes as well, so don't worry too much. Okay, so Bereshit bara Elohim et hashamayim. And here we have our next word. So hashamayim that we did previously means either the heavens or just the heaven, depending on what your translation says. And here we read ve'et. And then our last word here at the bottom. Now, I am deliberately first completing the verse, and then I'm going to be speaking about it a little bit again, and then we're done for the evening. So, Bereshit bara Elohim et hashamayim ve'et haaretz. Haaretz. So, the word the in Hebrew is the word ha. And so we have it right in here, just like you had the word be at the top, you have the. See right here, we had Bereshit, in the beginning. Bereshit, bara, Elohim, et hashamayim, the heavens. And now we have ve'et, and the word and comes into play. And is that ve, and et is again this idea of direct or indirect object. And again, as we said here at the top, it could mean language, it could mean time, could mean Yeshua, or a few other things even. But those are the basics. So you see we have the same word here. We have et and et. It's the same word. So Bereshit bara Elohim et hashamayim ve'et. And we have the word ha here again. Ha. Do you see ha? Ha. And ha is, again, the Hebrew for the, or the earth. Great. So from the top, I'm going to read it again slowly to you, and then I'm going to give a little bit of an explanation, 2 minutes, and then we're done. And if you think I can't tell time, I just enjoy this so much that I speak so much that I go over my time very often. So I apologize that it's getting late. Okay, so Bereshit bara Elohim et hashamayim ve'et haaretz. Okay, so here's something interesting in this first verse, and we've spoken about a few interesting things already, but we see that we can translate this verse in many ways. We can say, in the beginning, or firstly, he created. Who is this he? Or what created? This God, or God and Yeshua perhaps, this Elohim, this plural, this major form of a God, created something. And if you'd like to see it this way, where you say he created et, and with this et he created the heavens, and with this et he created the earth, that's maybe a way to look at it. But this verse is so rich in Hebrew, and it's something people study for their whole lives, and it's so amazing to have a look at. So, Bereshit bara Elohim et hashamayim ve'et haaretz. And so what we can say through what we learned this evening is saying, God created time, which is the beginning and the end of the earth. He created the time of everything because he's outside of time. He created the place. He created the spectrum of what we are in, this whole paradigm that we have, this dimensions that we have. God created everything. And this is what we read in the first verse. Now, don't let me get started on the second verse, otherwise you won't go to sleep this evening, or you might just leave the group. But the second verse says, and the earth was void and without form, which is very strange. And maybe we'll speak about that one day, because here what we read in Genesis 1 verse 1 is God created the heavens and the earth. And the Hebrew for the next verse actually says, and the earth became void and without form. So what happened between verse 1 and verse 2? There's this gap theory that you can go research if you'd like. Uh, but I don't want to get into that.
I hope you enjoyed that. I always enjoy working through the Hebrew scriptures with people. We have a lot of this material available on Kol Kala. If you'd like to visit our website, kolkala.com, you can see more of this. And also, if you are interested in Hebrew classes, to learn Hebrew, to read and write, speak Hebrew, you can actually write to me at tiaan@hebrewpeople.com, and I will help you to get to a place where you will be able to read and write and maybe join a class and so on. For us, it's a tremendous blessing to be part of people's lives in this sense, and I hope then that we will speak to you soon. If you're interested in supporting us financially, people often ask us, you can visit hebrewpeople.com and you'll see there's a donate button, and you can click on that donate button and you'll see that all the banking details are there. But we appreciate all of you, and as we say in Israel, Shalom.